All right, let's have 5-10 minutes of Q&A. A couple of questions have come through online. Maybe we can quickly address that as we give the microphone to folks in the crowd. Do you see the Q&A? Can you bring up the Q&A Google Doc, Simon? Just hit refresh. Okay. A couple of questions from Dr. Basie.
Okay, so the question is, did you say we should take CBCT or not on children aged 4 to 10? I don't take CBCTs at all. I just take the required standard of care records, which is pan X-ray and a lateral Ceph. If you're taking a CBCT, take a CBCT, but don't just take it without getting a radiologist to sign off on it. I get radiologists to take all my X-rays because I want them to sign off on any pathology. I'm not trained to look for pathology outside of the mouth. But if there's a whole head on the image, I'm liable for it. So this is called safe practice. Take as many CBCTs as you want. Okay, but don't do it just because you bought the machine. All right, do it because you have a reason that you want to use it. You must be able to justify it, and you must have someone read it who knows what they're doing. I don't know what, are you doing HST for children? I don't know what HST is. See, abbreviations are wonderful if you know what they mean, but home sleep test. Okay, wonderful. I actually don't deal with sleep physicians at all. Because for 10 years, every child I sent to a sleep physician who was diagnosed as sleep apneic, guess where they went up? ENT. And then the ENT clears the tonsils and adenoids and then comes back. Well, I just cut out the middleman. I just refer to ENT. I do a screening for sleep breathing disorder, and then I bounce it off to Perry Burston or Narinder Singh here in Sydney. And I say, hey, do you think they need a sleep study? And they'll send it off for a sleep study, or they'll say, no, we're just going to take the adenoids out. Clear the nose. Because the sleep study is there to figure out how bad it is. And then the next step is, what do we do about it? So you can screen to see how bad it is, and then you can go to the surgeon and say, hey, are you going to do anything about it? Because if he says, I'm not going to do anything about it, what's the next step? A CPAP. Yeah, or deal with allergies. And you go see an allergist. And the allergist says he's allergic to everything. And you can't fix it. You can't fix it. Like there are some things you just can't fix. And you say, until your nose works, everything I do will relapse. Am I going to start? If it's mild and it's controlled by nasal irrigation and by antihistamines, then yeah, I can start. If it's severe, get that sorted out first. Get the turbinates reduced. That's half the battle.
Any questions from the crowd?
There's a question, which all Ceph analysis do you recommend and from which angle? It doesn't matter. Like the Ceph analysis is there to meet the standard of care. Why are there 36 Ceph analysis types? It's either they all work or none of them work, right? But you do what you do because you're asked to do it. So I just do. It doesn't actually matter. So long as you can show just cause for your intervention. You have to show there's a skeletal malocclusion, so I want to intervene, or there's not a skeletal malocclusion, but there's a dental malocclusion, and I'm just fixing the dental malocclusion early. And I can justify it because I have a retention system that is efficient and effective. Right? You just have to explain why you're doing what you're doing. Oh, why did you use mousse? Well, because there's white spot lesion and there's got calcium and they didn't want fluoride. Oh, why did you fill that with a composite and not a composite? Well, I'm in America, so that's what I do. Right? You've got to justify. Whatever you do, you have to justify it. You have to explain it so that, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because your license may depend on it. The other question is sometimes kids gag. Kids gag because they're protecting their airway. Yeah, if you want to wonder why some people are so sensitive, look at the back of their throat and you'll see tonsils and no hole. Promise you, your biggest gagger, you look in the back of their mouth, there's no hole. Okay, we good? Yeah.
Question on intermolar widths. Do you have an ideal width? Do you use that, or do you tend to just look at it clinically?
So the question is there a width in transverse that is ideal? Yeah. And the answer is there's actually literature to support what that ideal width is. So I'm going to go through that. Right. So we don't just make stuff up. We have to do the research. And there are norms that are accepted as normal. So there are studies done to show what do normal class 1 occlusions with good naturally straight teeth, how wide are they normally? And guess what? We have measurements. So I'll go through that. But if you want a sneak preview, it's at least 38 millimeters.
Any other questions here?
Thanks, Simon.
Okay, end of Q&A for this section.
Okay, let's stop the recording here.